Hello, I'm Beck. Welcome to my channel. Today I'll be drawing a D&D character based on the roll of the dice. Let's bring out the Tower of Destiny! So this is the inspiration board I have for the Halfling Cleric that we'll be doing today. You can see that I went with a lot of more bright colours and more carefree spirit. That is because in the Cleric subclass, I've chosen that they'll be following the Domain of Peace. I'll go into detail on that later. But for now, a halfling is essentially a hobbit from Lord of the Rings, except they don't have big hairy feet. They're smaller than most D&D Beyond, most D&D characters. They're often stout, it says, so I wanted to draw a more robust figure, which I'm not really used to drawing. And drawing it in the stature of someone who's kind of child-sized, but have them also come through as an adult, because I wanted this to be an adult. Yeah, it was a little bit of a challenge, but I think it came out okay. They've got sort of brown hair, brown eyes, brown skin or pale skin with a ruddy cast to it, which is like a reddish cast, I guess you'd say. And they like bright, practical clothing. So, okay, let's get started. So I've already talked a little bit about halflings, but some other information on D&D Beyond under the traits category includes that you have your ability score increase, your dexterity increases by 2. In terms of age, halfling reaches adulthood at about 20 and generally lives to the middle of his or her second century, so they live for a very long time. They're around 3 feet tall usually, and unlike most playable characters in D&D, whose size is medium, your size, if you play as a halfling, is small. Your speed is reduced a little bit. Its walking speed is 25 feet, whereas usually it's around 30. You have a trait called Lucky, which means that when you roll a nat 1 on the d20 for an attack roll, ability check, or saving throw, you can re-roll the die, but you must use the new roll. So if you roll a 1 again, then you have to take that one. You have another trait called Brave, where you have advantage on saving throws against being frightened. Halfling Nimbleness, you can move through the space of any creature that is of a size larger than yours, which includes the medium-sized creatures that would be the most common in the game. And then, of course, in languages, you can speak, read, and write Common and Halfling. There are also sub-races in the Halfling thing. Ugh. I'm so eloquent. Sub-races of halfling. So I would say this halfling is the stout halfling, which means you have advantage on saving throws against poison and you have resistance against poison damage. That's because a stout halfling is hardier than average and have some resistance to poison. They say that stouts have dwarven blood. In the Forgotten Realms, these halflings are called Stronghearts, and they're most common in the south. I don't usually play with details like that. I prefer to make my own maps and make up my own worlds because it stays in my brain better. I'm just really bad at retaining information from books and written stuff. You might say my intelligence score is not super high, but I'm very wise. Am I? I'm wise enough. Whatever. Maybe one day I'll do my own ability score table. That will be embarrassing and sad. Maybe I'll get somebody else to do it for me and then we can discuss. Anyway, I digress. This halfling, whose name I shall give Annabelle. Annabelle is a cleric, and as a cleric, she needs a god. Now, while I was looking at the cleric's page, they did have suggested gods, and I was looking at the peace domain because of all the stuff about wearing bright clothing and liking a lifestyle that's like calm and a little bit indulgent. And I found that they do have a halfling god under the peace domain. So this is the one that I'm going to have Annabelle follow. I have no idea how to pronounce this. Cyrilally? Whatever. I'm gonna call her Carol. So the god's name is Carol, because that's how I retain information. And being part of the peace domain gives you like a whole mess of cool things you can do. Classes are just more complicated than races, so I'm not going to read out everything that you get with the cleric class, but basically Annabelle has magical powers because she has been blessed by Carol, the peace deity, and so while she's adventuring, her primary objective is to spread the word of Carol and bring peace among the people. Now, looking at the abilities table for Annabelle, we can see that she has an exceptionally high dexterity score. She has a +4, which means she has impeccable balance. Dexterity measures your agility, reflexes, and balance. So rolls that relate to, say, acrobatics, sleight of hand, stealth, those would all come up pretty well because she has a +4 to those. Other things that you might roll a dexterity check for would be like picking a lock, disabling a trap, wriggling free of bonds, whether or not you can play like a stringed instrument or craft something, so she's probably quite good at crafts. Also, you add your dexterity modifier to your attack roll and your damage roll when you're attacking with a ranged weapon, such as a sling or longbow. So I'm thinking, I don't know if this is already, I should have looked this up, but whatever. This is it. This is a hobby. I'm not a professional. I would give her, oh my god, what's it called? I just had it in my brain. Where you fling rocks with a Y-shaped stick. What is that called? Slingshot. It is called a slingshot. Haha, I thought of it. Oh my god, I can't believe I forgot the word for that. Anyway, I think she'd have a slingshot if those exist in the D&D world, and if they don't, it's easy enough to create stats for them. Just find a existing weapon that is very similar. So yeah, I think she has a slingshot. I think she's a little bit of a rapscallion, and she takes for granted being able to get away with stuff because she is so sneaky. And like she doesn't have the greatest con, like she has that -1, but because she's stout, that would make up for it. Like I haven't adjusted the stats based on the changes you get for your race in your class. I'm considering probably after the New Player's Handbook comes out, I'm gonna focus a little more on making characters properly. But until then, I am just gonna draw them based exactly on what the rolls are, and that's how we're doing it. In terms of her background, I think she's grown up pretty traditionally as halflings go. So in the Shire, I don't know if they call it that, in the grasslands, she would have grown up with her family, had a very nice upbringing, a lot of support. I think she probably has a couple of younger brothers and sisters, and they look up to her as the elder sister. And I think that she was chosen by this deity. I think that probably everyone in her village worships the same deity of peace, but she was particularly chosen, maybe at birth or maybe while her parents or mother was pregnant. But yeah, I don't think she's ever explored other religions, and I don't think she's ever considered that there is any other path than to follow this deity named Carol. So I think that when she does go out into the world and join in with an adventuring party who have probably different beliefs and different goals in their life, she would have a little bit of an eye-opening experience, because you can see her wisdom is just average. It's a +0, which means like she's not dense in that area, but she hasn't had the most experience in the world either. She hasn't gotten out and seen a lot of things. That said, I don't think that she's unaware of the like turmoils of the world. I don't think that she's this carefree, go-lucky, happy person because she doesn't know that there are people dying in the world, or people suffering, or people being tortured, and just a lot of injustices happening. I think she's sort of one of those people who is aware of it and is going out to try and fix or help in those areas, but is just resolutely against letting it change her as a person. So I think playing this character, a lot of it would be like whenever something really horrible happens, she takes a moment to like feel the bad feelings and then let them float away, so to speak. Like she probably won't be changed by like having to kill someone in this campaign, or having someone kill someone she cares about, or having like a lot of the carefree characters don't stay carefree for that long because they're like, it's coming from a place of ignorance and innocence. I think she's been educated. I think that particularly her goddess, or at least her parents, the village, would have a lot of stories about why it's so important to maintain the peace, and why peace above everything else is the most important thing to strive for. And that doesn't just mean peace between villages or between cities or between people. It means peace within yourself. So a lot of her focus wouldn't just be on helping other people in terms of like, you know, saving their lives, but it would also be in terms of like mentally helping people to deal with whatever internal stresses are like causing them conflict and stopping them from having inner peace. So I think there's a strong element of that where you might see someone who's like carefree and happy and assume that it's somehow a weakness, but I think that she's very strong in this area, and she doesn't let people get to her. I think with her wisdom stat there, the learning curve that she needs to face is that helping people, especially to find inner peace, it takes years. It's not something that you can just show up and give them like some good advice and then that's done. And it's also not something where like someone who's faced something traumatic, they can have good days and bad days. So she might think that she's helped them by like giving them a reassuring word and a hug and that sort of thing, and then they seem okay, but then the next day they're worse, or they're back to how they were, and she hasn't experienced that before. She's only sort of studied the theory of how to help people. She's never actually helped people before. So I think it's important that her adventuring party does have like a diverse range of people with a diverse background, so she has people to learn from. I don't think that the adventures themselves would really be something that she's like, yes, I need to steal this treasure, or yes, I need to like do whatever the goal is. Obviously, if the goal is something that helps people, like sets people free and could bring about peace, then that is something that she would be most drawn to. But I think when she leaves her village, the primary goal is just to meet people that she can help. And those people should really be the adventuring party, because that's the most fun to roleplay. But yes, this is Annabelle, the Halfling Cleric, who cherishes peace above all else, under the deity Carol. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will catch you next time.